Bill Plante joins us now from the White House North Lawn. Bill, thanks so much for being here. You were a reporter on the front lines during the civil rights movement. I'm just curious what you made of the president's comments when you heard him use the N-word.
Well, you know, this president has never been one in the past to talk openly about race. But in his second term, or at this point in his second term, he seems much more willing, going back again to the speech he made in March at Selma, Alabama, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Bloody Sunday there. I mean, it's shocking to hear that he used the word, but when I ran this by the White House spokesman this morning, and he said, hey, look, you got to look at the context. He also said, and you will probably hear this again today at the briefing, he used the N-word many times in his first book, Dreams from My Father. But they say, hey, look at it this way. The president was making the point that he, in terms of how far we've come and how far we still have to go, we should acknowledge as a society that we've had a very tough time with race relations in this country. The legacy of slavery continues. The history of discrimination which followed that continues. So the president is saying, we're not cured of racism. It's still part of our DNA, but it's not a matter of being simply a matter of not being polite to say the N-word. He's calling on people to realize that there's been tremendous progress made in the last 50 years, but that we have to continue working to make more of it. I mean, the curious thing to me is that he has decided at this point to talk openly about race. I think he avoided it in his first term particularly because he didn't want to call particular attention to the fact that he was the first black president.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit about that? I remember candidate Obama and the iconic speech that he did on race, and he was applauded for that speech before he became president. And then it seemed like during his first term, he became a little more sensitive to it. He was more criticized when he brought up race. Can you talk a little bit about his evolution in terms of his expressing his views on race and race relations?
Well, look, I think he wanted to be seen as the president, not as the black president, which is why he de-emphasized race, particularly in his first term. He wanted to be accepted on his own terms, which is he's a politician, he's a Democrat, he's here, he's leading the country, he was elected, and not the fact that he was black. So he avoided race. I asked him in Selma last March why he had avoided race so much in the first part, and he said, look, it's there, everybody understands it's there, and we have to acknowledge it, but we have to move on. We have to, and that's what he's basically saying here. I think he used the N-word in this podcast to make a point that it's not that changes over 50 years don't just mean that it's impolite to say that in public. They mean that there have been changes, yes, but there's still a lot of ground left to cover, a long way to go.
Do you think possibly because his period as president is winding down, he is considering his legacy and, wants this to be part of it, that race and race relations and helping form a more perfect union, I think, as he said in his speech when he was a candidate, is something that he wants to be remembered for?
I think that's absolutely the case. And here's another clue from that podcast. He tells the interviewer, Marc Maron, that he's fearless at this point. He's gone over Niagara Falls in the barrel and he's survived, meaning the election, which he says he didn't do as well as he could. He'd like to try that over. But at this point, I think in his presidency, he feels that he can say whatever he wants, and he's doing it.
He definitely is doing it, Bill, and as we heard after he reacted to the shooting in Charleston, South Carolina, that was the 14th time he has commented on mass shootings during his term. Is the president working on any executive action regarding gun control?
I don't think so. He would love to see something happen with gun control, but he has said, just recently in fact, that he knows that with this Congress it is not in the cards. It is an accomplishment that he wishes he could leave behind, but there's almost no chance that anything will change.
All right, Bill Plante, thank you very much.